Women's basketball, one of my favorite topics to dive into. When I started this channel back in March of 2023, I had no idea that this would grow into such an amazing community. And since then, just about every day, I have been breaking down just about everything you need to know about women's basketball, the good, the bad, and the downright controversial. And y'all, 2024 gave us all of that and more. So, awesome people of the internet, let's recap and dive in to the most memorable moments of 2024. And guys, in my opinion, 2024 might just go down as the best year for women's basketball since the WNBA's founding in 1997. And the reason why is because we saw ratings skyrocket. We saw fan bases grow. And the game reached new heights. Why? Well, for a lot of reasons, but the number one reason is, of course, Caitlin Clark. Guys, the Caitlin Clark phenom, Caitlin Clark effect, whatever you want to call it, it was amazing. Caitlin Clark was everywhere in 2024, and for good reason. As a senior at Iowa, she led her team to a second consecutive national championship game. Along the way, she averaged a jaw-dropping 31.6 points a game and shattered the NCAA's all-time scoring record with 3,951 career points. Then she had her WNBA debut just 6 weeks after her final college game, and Caitlin, of course, was selected as the number one player in the WNBA draft with the Indiana Fever. And guys, she hit the ground running, scoring 20 points in her first game and really setting record after record all season long. She got an all-star nod, the rookie scoring record, the league's assist crown, and she had a rare first team all WNBA selection as a rookie. Y'all, Caitlin Clark's rookie season and her senior season in college was nothing short of historic. And she did lead the Indiana Fever to their first playoff appearance in forever. But the impact was not just on the court. Caitlin's star power brought unprecedented attention to women's basketball. Iowa's games were constantly sold out all year long, both home and away, and the Fever averaged 17,000 fans per game at home. Teams even moved to larger arenas when the Indiana Fever came to town. And when it came to merchandise, it was jerseys, it was basketballs, whatever it was with Caitlin's name on it, it sold out instantly. Even cards, player cards, were selling for thousands and thousands of dollars. And it was kind of through the roof, the amount of merchandise and the amount of sales that anything with Caitlin had on it. And guys, if you're wondering about ratings, through the roof, though I will talk about that more in just a bit. But guys, Caitlin was just one part of what made 2024 amazing for women's basketball. Let's move on to another headline, which is the not so good one. This was a season marred by injuries. UConn's roster was hit pretty hard, especially in January of 2024 when 5 players were out for UConn, including their bigger name stars such as AZ Fudd and Jana El-Alfi. Good news for the team is that both AZ and Jana are back now, and they're healthy, though AZ just got back from being injured. Though there are other players from UConn that are still out via injury. And this season, such as last season, Notre Dame is another team that's been heavily impacted by injury as well. They're already very, very thin as a roster because of the injuries they have with KK Branford, Kylie Watson, Maddie Westbell, though Maddie Westbell should be back in the next couple of weeks, probably next week or so. We maybe should have an update on the status of Maddie Westbell, because they did say early January she would be back. TCU's situation also got pretty dire last season, as well, as they had to have midseason tryouts just because the sheer amount of injuries that was had. And also, when it comes to the NCAA, right before the tournament actually started, we saw Virginia Tech's Elizabeth Kitley go down in March of 2024 with a ACL tear, which unfortunately for her tanked her draft stock. She was going to be a high first round pick, but ultimately she was the last player picked in the second round for the Las Vegas Aces, because she was not going to be able to play for the Aces this past season at all. So she did spend the summer rehabbing with the team, and she's looking to be all set to go come 2025. And the WNBA was not immune to injuries either. You had stars like Chelsea Gray and Satu Sabli missing significant time before the Olympic break due to injury. We saw Chicago Sky's rookie Angel Reese, who had a phenomenal season. She averaged a double-double, ended up leading the WNBA in average rebounds per game, though she did miss the end of the season due to a wrist injury. And also, we saw Tiffany Mitchell, who had probably definitely the biggest battle, where she battled a life-threatening case of sepsis. And it was a sobering reminder to us all that, there's a lot of fragility to our existence. She spent weeks living in the hospital while undergoing treatment. She had blood transfusions and she had surgeries as the doctors ended up repairing 6 abdominal abscesses. Crazy. And guys, it truly is by God's grace that we are able to see Tiffany Mitchell still doing her thing. She was able to make it through that, and she's in the gym right now working out, and I cannot wait to see what Tiffany Mitchell is able to do in 2025. All right, next up, the Paris Olympics put women's basketball front and center in 2024. Now, the biggest pre-Olympics drama, it was related to Caitlin Clark being left off the Team USA roster, and this is the same roster that had 42-year-old Diana Taurasi. So the debate was wild, and it reached a fever pitch after Team USA lost to Caitlin Clark and Team WNBA at the WNBA All-Star Game. So absolutely, people did have a justifiable reason to want Caitlin on the team, because one, she was playing pretty good at the time, and though she even had a better second half of the season after the Olympics. And there was a lot of people that was like, hey, you need to put her on the team, but Team USA did not. And there was a whole bunch of people mad, saying they were going to boycott, saying all this stuff because Caitlin ended up not being on the team. And despite all of the criticism, Team USA ultimately did bring home the gold, but it was not an easy path at all. They did struggle with chemistry and barely ended up edging out France in the gold medal game, winning 67-66, which only happened because of huge help from France's Gabby Williams, unintentionally, because she hit that last second shot to sort of end out the game. She was just inside the 3-point line on that final shot, which took it from being a 3-point shot to a 2-point shot. So instead of tying the game and going to overtime, the game was over. Team USA ended up eking out a victory. Now, 2024 was packed with unforgettable performances. College basketball's freshman class of Mylasia Fulwiley, Hannah Hidalgo, and Juju Watkins put on an absolute show for everybody to see. We saw Mylasia Fulwiley help guide South Carolina to an undefeated season and a national championship while doing it with flash and flair and energy coming off the bench. We saw Hannah Hidalgo's lockdown defense and her ability to get to the basket, helping to earn her lots of honors last year, including a ACC Tournament MVP award. And we saw Juju Watkins for USC becoming the nation's second leading scorer, smashing records all over the place as she did her thing as a freshman. And guys, now as sophomores, all 3 of these players are still off to fantastic starts. Like, the future is in great hands with those 3 players. And of course, I talked about it earlier, but of course, Caitlin Clark was a huge thing when it came to amazing performances, from 3-point bombs to half-court bombs to just flashy passes, fun and flair. It was all over the place. It was fun to see. Though I talked more about it earlier, so I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to harp on it right now. We also saw in the WNBA, Asia Wilson continue to be dominant, guys. She became the first player ever to lead the league in total points, total rebounds, and total blocks in a single season, guys, earning her third MVP award, joining just a few other players to make that huge accomplishment, guys. A'ja Wilson, she is getting up there in terms of her veteran status in the WNBA, and she's continuing to year after year after year after year level up her game. She has a fadeaway game that just doesn't quit. Big name player, top player in WNBA, by far, unanimous MVP. She just was huge in 2024, and honestly, I don't think it's going to stop in 2025. I don't think it's going to stop at all. We also saw Sabrina Ionescu, who had a career year as well. She led the New York Liberty to their first ever championship while scoring efficiently, while getting her passes up. She ended up being a really good passer this past year. She's done it before. We've seen her sort of run a PG role before, but this past year, she really did show that she can be a point guard if needed. Because Courtney Vandersloot was out for a significant time, we saw Sabrina Ionescu kind of lead the charge, and she really did, averaging 18 plus points a game, 6 plus assists a game. She really did make her mark with the New York Liberty. Of course, Breanna Stewart was doing her thing as well, but I think really the X factor this year really was Sabrina leveling up her offense and leveling up her defense as well to make this year a success. All right, moving on. If there was one constant complaint in 2024 across the board, it was the officials. Questionable calls and inconsistent rulings were hot topics throughout the year. You can take Kennedy Carter's shoulder check on Caitlin Clark, for example. It was initially ruled during the game as a common foul, but later it was upgraded to a flagrant one, which it absolutely should have been, and that should have been called in the game, but they missed it. It had a whole media firestorm around it. It was very warranted that should have been upgraded. It ultimately was, but it should have been called in real time. We also saw Angel Reese receiving an extremely soft double technical for arguing with the refs and waving her hand at an official, though the second technical was later rescinded because the league saw that and it was like, yeah, that's way too soft even for us. We need to rescind that technical. These are just two instances of just the wild calls that was called or not called during 2024. And whether it was college basketball or the WNBA, we have seen bad calls and we've seen inconsistent decisions all year long. And then, guys, it was probably the most egregious refereeing moment of the season during the WNBA finals when this happened.
Because that was not a foul. That call should have been reversed.
In the fourth quarter, the Minnesota Lynx were winning by 2 points. The game was 60-58. There was 6 seconds left in the game. Again, 2-point game. The Liberty call a timeout. Sabrina Ionescu has the basketball. She passes to Breanna Stewart. Breanna Stewart travels twice, goes up for a shot, gets her shot contested by Alana Smith, a very good contest by Alana, but Alana is called for the foul. In real time, everyone's looking like, what? That was a foul? What foul? Now, here's the thing. If you are a player or a coach, you can't really speak out about the officials without facing consequences. Back in February of 2024, I made a video talking about Jeff Walls of Louisville being fined $20,000 after criticizing the refs after his team lost in a down-to-the-wire game that he attributed to the officials. Now, we even saw A'ja Wilson speaking up in-game during an interview telling the refs to do their jobs, but because of her choice in words, the way she carefully worded that, she did not say the words refs, which I think allowed her to avoid being fined. At least I didn't see any reports about her being fined. But the message was clear. The refs are a problem. And guys, the problem is not just limited to the WNBA or the NCAA, though it does seem way, way, way worse for the WNBA in terms of just the the amount of terrible calls, or at least on a larger scale, because all the games are televised. Whereas in college, a lot of the games we don't even see. We only see like the major games, right? It also is not an issue versus like male versus female referees. It's not. Across the board, referees need to learn how to officiate games without becoming the focus of post-game conversations. And that's something that it didn't matter who it was. They just didn't really know how to do it well. Yes, you do have some great refs in the WNBA. You do. Yes, you do have some great refs in the NCAA. But overall, there has been too many bad decisions across the board. And, it's just to the point where the official needs to do something. And they need to make sure that they are able to stay out of post-game conversation. Because there's so many games that happened this year where it was like the post-game conversation in the pressers and on social after the game was, oh, this ref did this, or this was very inconsistent. Y'all didn't call this call all game, and then with 2 minutes left, now you want to call it, or we got no calls the entire game. And some of that stuff is fans just being fans and kind of caping for their team. But some of it is true as well. And at least for the WNBA, they are trying to address the issue. They are currently hiring a WNBA referee performance and development advisor. So hopefully that does help for the 2025 season. Now, 2024 wasn't without its share of dramas. We saw Kim Mulkey threatening to sue the Washington Post.
I'm fed up, and I'm not going to let the Washington Post attack this university, this awesome team of young women I have, or me without a fight.
We saw Cheryl Swoops making repeated comment after comment about Caitlin Clark, comments that were torn apart from both mainstream media and YouTubers alike. There was no shortage of drama and controversy when it came to the WNBA. We saw the physicality of the WNBA towards Caitlin Clark being a major talking point, as well as the ongoing effort to police what WNBA players and coaches say. Even though, at times, yes, they really did put their foot in their mouths, and they really should, worry about that. But there were times where every minute thing that was said and not said by WNBA players or coaches, it just blew up, and to a level where it never had before. Now, 2024 overall was rife with some truly boneheaded online conversations. Many individuals and platforms seemed eager to exploit the rise of women's basketball for a paycheck, churning out the wildest of takes they could muster, from the recent comments on Jeff Teague's podcast around Angel Reese to the countless channels that deliberately mislead their audiences to paint the WNBA or its players in a negative light. And guys, honestly, it's been very exhausting and annoying to keep up with. Now, is some of the chatter, some of the online conversation warranted? Absolutely. But a overwhelming amount of the biggest stories, the biggest things, the biggest videos, the biggest articles that got the most views were wild takes overall. From random misinformation on Facebook around players getting kicked out the league that didn't happen, to clickbait videos where thumbnails are saying quotes that people never said. It has been a time. It has been a time to make money, and content creators all around the spectrum are making a boatload of money. And unfortunately, in my opinion, there is a large amount of those who don't care about the WNBA and are intentionally trying to spur up negativity to make a lot of money for themselves. It's fine to cover negative stuff. It's fine to even have a controversial take, but it really did boil to a level where it never has before. And so overall, while it is unfortunate that so much negativity surrounded women's basketball in 2024, in a way, it was almost inevitable. Record growth shines a brighter light on the game's flaws, And it makes it more apparent to critics to point that out, understandably, right? And as women's basketball continues to rise, so do the opportunists eager to cash in on negativity for their own gain. And also on the positive side, so does the rise of content creators that are really just trying to shine a light on the players, on teams, and just on various conversations that don't get that much shine. Yes, it's been the worst of times in terms of some of the content, but it's also been the best of times. Like, honestly, like, this channel has grown largely because of what has happened in 2024 and just the amount of conversations that we have been able to have together. So absolutely, I am a factor in that, but my goal is to sort of be on the positive side of that factor, right? And guys, overall, 2024 was nothing short of amazing. We saw the 2024 National Championship game attract a record-breaking 18.9 million viewers in the United States. These are all historic numbers that signal unprecedented interest in the women's game. And shifting to the WNBA, we saw the league achieve an all-time record of over 54 million unique viewers, across networks like ABC, CBS, ESPN, ESPNW, ION, and NBA TV. The WNBA also celebrated its highest attendance record in 22 years, with over 2.3 million attending games. This is a 48% increase from last season. The league had 154 sellouts, which is a 242% jump from last season, when we only had just 45 sellouts in the WNBA. Most notably, we saw the Indiana Fever versus the Washington Mystics matchup on, and the most notable game was the Indiana Fever versus the Washington Mystics matchup on September the 19th at Capital One Arena, which sets a single game attendance record of 20,711 fans. This was just one of 3 games to surpass 20,000 fans this season, and all of them included the Indiana Fever. Now, guys, the Indiana Fever also sets a single season home attendance record with 340,715 fans attending. And that was crazy, guys. The previous record was 25,000. I'm sorry. Now, guys, to put this in perspective, to put this 340,000 fan record in perspective, the previous record was 250,000 that the New York Liberty set in 2001. Guys, it wasn't just that. It wasn't just ratings. It wasn't just attendance. We also saw merchandise sales skyrocket this year. Combined online and in-person stores, we saw sales increase 601%. Crazy. Sales increasing 601%, guys. While we end up seeing Dick's Sporting Goods alone rise 233% when it comes to WNBA sales. On social media, the WNBA sets a single season record with nearly 2 billion video views. Crazy increase. And last year, in 2023, they had 378 million. So from 378 million to almost 2 billion. Crazy numbers, guys. The WNBA app as well saw its monthly active users grow by 252%, while League Pass subscriptions rose 366%. Guys, overall, fan engagement reached new heights. The WNBA has grown, and it's awesome to see. It really is awesome to see. We saw 10 million votes for the WNBA All-Star Game, another wild number. 2024, overall, without question, was a landmark year for women's basketball. Now, overall, guys, 2024 was without question a landmark year for women's basketball. And while challenges remain, the sport's growth on and off the court is undeniable. And with the WNBA adding the Golden State Valkyries next year, and with Unrivaled starting in January, and with women's college basketball just heating up for this year, I, for one, am very much excited about 2025. So, guys, buckle up, get ready, and let's enjoy the ride for 2025 women's basketball. Guys, that is the video. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Thank you so much for watching this video, making it to the end. Also, thank you for your support in 2024. This has been a banner year. We put out more than 500 videos this year alone, a little bit over a video a day for this channel. So many live streams, so many conversations that we've had. And I really do appreciate it. I really do thank you so much for your support. Guys, this year really did blow my mind. I love what I do. I love the fact that I can hop on the internet and talk about women's basketball for hours on end and just hang out with people who also just love the game or who are new to the game and are trying to learn and all this other stuff. I love it. I love it, guys. Guys, I'm not perfect. I'm not the best commentator in the world, but I try my best to do right by the game of women's basketball, do right by the ladies that play it, and just help in my small corner of the internet to help grow the WNBA, to help grow women's college basketball, to help grow basketball worldwide, because it really is a awesome sport that is growing leaps and bounds. Now, guys, thank you for an awesome 2024. As we enter 2025, I hope that you all continue to rock with me. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. I have big plans for 2025, big goals, and I'm hoping that the awesome people of the internet will do it with me. So, guys, Happy New Year. I will be back later today for a end of the year live stream. But if I don't see you until next year, guys, I want to say Happy New Year, and I'll see you in the new one. Bye-bye.